I'm not entirely sure if this fits here, but it does involve misidentifying someone's profession, though unconventionally for this sub. Still, I think you guys will get a kick out of it. I sure did. This is a story about a friend, Mashes. He's from Sweden, visiting in the States for a while. He has no discernible accent, but he does occasionally force one for dramatic effect or to catch people off guard. We're approaching the checkout line in a small grocery store, grabbing some Gatorades when we hear it. The howls of a Karen, berating the cashier over an apparently expired coupon. The Karen was a stocky, pale woman of about 50, and short with her hair up in a knot, wearing an unseasonably warm faux fur jacket over her tight t-shirt and shorts that didn't quite cover her ass cheeks. If a blind hooker dressed herself in the dark, you might get something close to this. We only caught the tail end of the tirade, but heard the Karen spewing the typical idiot, useless and fired amongst other incoherent grunts and whines and growls. /Note, I will paraphrase here, as I can't even write a Swedish accent, so just imagine one /. Without missing a beat, Mashes jumps into action, approaching the Karen. "Oh wow," he exclaims, looking back to me in a deliberately embellished accent. "Do you know who this is? This is Miss Sandy Bottoms. The most favorite vintage porn star in all of Sweden." I thought he was serious at first, before the subtle wink. Still I didn't know what he was doing, only that he was up to something diabolically mischievous. He then proceeds to gush over her body of work. Turning his attention to the cashier, he continues. "You must respect this woman, she is famous. Haven't you seen her films? It's not just porn, it's erotic art. She was the mom in some rhyme schoolgirls. She practically invented the ping pong ball trick. She was a pioneer. Many people don't know this, but the adult industry used to be very misogynistic. But when she saw a glass ceiling, she blasted through it, firing little plastic pussy balls like a howitzer." I tried so hard to keep my composure, but there was so much wrong with that sentence, tears were welling up in my eyes as I tried not to laugh. To every woman on the planet, I'd like to apologize for my friend. He continues. "Don't laugh, she's won awards." The Karen, now meekly trying to get a word in. "I think you might be mistaken. No, you did win those awards, and you deserve them. Your movie The Equestrian was a masterpiece, wasn't it?" he said, directing that last question to me. I could only shake my head. I didn't dare open my mouth. I knew where he was going now. "You have to see it. It's about a nun in a 14th century convent and her forbidden love with a horse. It sounds strange, but the story is beautiful." Mashes, now looking back to Karen, "I even won the online auction for the riding whip you used on Mother Superior in that movie. I wish I had it here, I would ask you to autograph it." At this point, Karen is still silent, in absolute shock, wide-eyed, unblinking, her lips are moving, but no sound is coming out, and she's shaking her head. Then there's a large inhaling gasp, like she had forgotten to breathe until just now, and she scurries quickly out the door, abandoning her shopping and coupons. The cashier is dumbfounded, she has no idea what just happened. Her brain hadn't processed it all yet. She quietly leans forward and whispers. "So, that lady. She's a porn star?" Mashes, now in a totally American accent, says, "Nah, I have no idea who that bitch was." This happened about 16-17 years ago, when I was in my late 20s. Now one thing I know about myself is that I'm a baby face. Even now at 44, I'm tall and I have an athletic build, so I get mistaken for a young 20-something all the time. So you can imagine what I looked like at the age of 27 or 28. Now couple that with the fact that I'm a black man, relevant later, and you can just imagine what my life has been like, haha. There are few things in America more despicable than a young black man, right? So that's my life in a nutshell, cursed to forever be the young black man. So my team was having a retirement celebration for our manager, and we had a dinner party at a restaurant near our workplace after hours. The shindig ended up being about 25-30 people, mostly older. I think I was one of 2 or 3 people there under age 40, and it was nice. Our manager shed a tear or two, gave a nice speech, blah blah etc. etc. The restaurant was open for business, and there were other small parties, couples, etc. there, and they ignored us and we ignored them. But we weren't segregated, we were seated toward the center of the seating area around a large table and a second smaller one. So fast forward to the end of the dinner and we're all outside now, saying our final greetings, and on the verge of dispersing, and I was among the group. So a few people start to make their way home and our group is now whittled down to about 10-12 people. Other patrons and pedestrians are coming and going, like normal, and there we are just chatting amongst ourselves. Notably, our manager was still there with his plaque, a relatively large picture frame, and a couple of gift bags, so again it should have been evident to anybody who was in the restaurant for the last hour who we were. You would think. And then it happens. I'll call her Pre-Karen, Park for short, since this was before people like her were a meme. Park, excuse me? Me, yes ma'am. Park, here are my keys. Me, for? Park, for you to get my car. Me, I'm sorry I don't work here ma'am. Park, I don't have time for games, here are my keys. As she's saying this she tries to stuff her keys in my hand. Now I'm pissed. Me, if you put your keys in my hand I'm going to throw them across the street and into the gutter. Park, then why do you have a badge on? As she's saying this, she reaches out to grab my badge, like WTF? Which was on a lanyard hanging around my neck down around my midsection. But before she can, I snatch it away. Me, if you touch me again, I will consider it assault and call the police. I don't work here. She withdraws her hand, and I release my badge, which she proceeds to study for the 2 or so seconds it would take to figure out it's not a restaurant or valet badge. I believe the restaurant contracts out their valet service, and having done valet work during college, I am fairly certain my business attire does not in any way resemble the uniforms, think tacky vest with logo and matching pants, of the 2 or 3 companies that are in my area. And furthermore, none of them do badges on lanyards. Then she looks me up and down, comes back to lock eyes with me, and while starting to turn away, utters that word, you know which one, under her breath. Not gonna lie, it caught me off guard, and in the 15 years since, I've thought of the perfect comeback more times than I care to admit, the other story of my life, sigh. But on the bright side I'm prepared now. But in that moment, I simply couldn't force words to come out of my mouth. So I just turned around and tried to shake off my shock and anger and proceed as if everything was fine. Most of my remaining co-worker group, a mix of black and white, was aware of what had just transpired, but there was nothing to be said or done really, so we just kind of started small talking again. In my day job I've been working from home, give or take furlough, for the entire pandemic period. We are in the planning stages to finally move back into the office soon. To that end, I was tasked along with a couple of management-type people to head over to our local grocery store to price out supplies for a welcome-back social event at the office. Cleaning supplies, plus food-type things that we can put together in a grab-and-go style conference room function. Cast of characters at the store, me, boss number 1, B1, and boss number 2, B2. Of course there was also Karen of the generic hair, CONTGH for short. For context, the dress code for workers at this store incorporates a white dress shirt, black khaki pants, and a black name tag on the chest. Those who are still masked, wear black masks with the store logo prominently displayed on the cheek. None of us office workers were dressed in any way remotely resembling this. But we were all carrying clipboards to take notes for later, when we were ready to come back and buy the stuff. Hence the confusion, I suppose. CONTGH arrived, and without even a greeting started up with her demands. You guys are out of whatever product, I need you to go get some from the back. Me, oh, sorry, I know I'm carrying a clipboard but I don't actually work here. You can tell any employee from how they're dressed, I'm sure they'll be happy to help you. CONTGH did not find this acceptable. I do not find this acceptable, she repeated redundantly. You either help me this instant, or go get your manager who will fire you and then help me. B1 happened to be nearby down the aisle so I flagged her over. You want to talk to my manager? Here she is. And I stepped aside. CONTGH lays into her, you really need to train your employees better. This man, accompanied by a finger jab to my chest, is refusing to help me. You need to review his employment status, and then get me what I need. B1 half ignores CONTGH and says to me, Hey hysterical_realist, did you get a second job at the store without telling me? I answered, nope. I still work for you, not for them. She said, okay then, carry on, I'm sure this lady can find a store worker to help her. Now one unfortunate aspect of the culture we live in is that a woman in authority is not always taken as seriously as she should be. It's doubly true for B1, who, in addition to her gregarious personality, also is on the smaller size physically. Additionally, although she's in her mid-30s, she happens to look legitimately 12 years old. GH, on the other hand, has reached red-hot status and has now found herself a second target. UNF#I.N.G. Believable. I can't believe the disrespectful little children they let into this store. You are going to help me now or I will report you directly to the owner. WHO goes to my church. That's when B2 rounds the corner, witnesses the situation, and immediately figures out what's going on. One thing to know about B2, is that in her physical characteristics she's pretty much the opposite of B1. She's 6 feet tall. She's very solidly built physically, she doesn't walk so much as she lumbers. She's ex-military and is fully trained to take charge in a wartime situation. Short version, this woman knows how to effectively take up the ample space she's been given. Bonus points, she's British, and her accent gives her an extra weight of authority when she wants to flex her authority. She wanted to flex her authority. She walks up behind GH and asks in her best command voice, is there a problem here? GH takes on a smug facial expression as if to say finally I found somebody competent. Then she turns around, takes a look at B2 in her mountainous position directly behind her. I see her face lose its smugness, and the only sound she can manage is a half-surprised half-terrified squeak. These people have told you already they don't work here. I suggest you walk away right now, perhaps leave the store, before things get a little more uncomfortable for you. Are we in agreement here? GH starts moving rapidly away in a manner I can only describe as scampering. I suspect she actually did leave the store, because her face suggested she was unable to coexist in the same space as her abject embarrassment. And the three of us office types were able to finish our party planning and make it out of the store without further incident. And now my story is all told.